Asterisk 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 asterisk. Act the First. At one side a craggy mountain, at the other a tower, the lower part of which serves as the prison of Sigismund. The door facing the spectators is half open. The action commences at nightfall. Scene I. Rosara, Clarin. Rosara in man's attire appears on the rocky heights and descends to the plain. She is followed by Clarin. Rosara. Wild hippogriff swift speeding. Thou that dost run, the winged winds exceeding. Bolt which no flash illumes. Fish without scales, bird without shifting plumes. And brood a while bereft of natural instinct, why to this wild cleft? This labyrinth of naked rocks, dost sweep, unreined, uncurbed, to plunge thee down the steep? Stay in this mountain wold, and let the beasts their phaeton behold. For I, without a guide, save what the laws of destiny decide. Benighted, desperate, blind, take any path whatever that doth wind, down this rough mountain to its base, whose wrinkled brow in heaven frowns in the sun's bright face. Ah, Poland, in ill mood, hast thou received a stranger, since in blood the name thou writest on thy sands, of her who hardly here fares hardly at thy hands? My fate may well say so. But where shall one poor wretch find pity in her woe? Clarin. Say too, if you please. Don't leave me out when making plaints like these. For if we are the two who left our native country with the view of seeking strange adventures, if we be the two who, madly and in misery, have got so far as this, and if we still are the same two who tumbled down this hill, does it not plainly to a wrong amount? To put me in the pain and not in the account? Rosara. I do not wish to impart, Clarin, to thee, the sorrows of my heart. Mourning for thee would spoil the consolation of making for thyself thy lamentation. For there is such a pleasure in complaining, that a philosopher I've heard maintaining. One ought to seek a sorrow and be vain of it, in order to be privileged to complain of it. Clarin. That same philosopher was an old drunken fool, unless I err. Oh, that I could 1,000 thumps present him, in order for complaining to content him. But what, my lady, say, are we to do, on foot, alone, our way, lost in the shades of night? For see, the sun descends another sphere to light. Rosara. So strange a misadventure who has seen? But if my sight deceives me not, between these rugged rocks, half lit by the moon's ray, and the declining day, it seems, or is it fancy, that I see a human dwelling? Clarin. So it seems to me. Unless my wish the longed for lodging mocks. Rosara. A rustic little palace mid the rocks. Uplifts its lowly roof. Scarce seen by the far sun that shines aloof. Of such a rude device is the whole structure of this edifice? That lying at the feet of these gigantic crags that rise to greet the sun's first beams of gold. It seems a rock that down the mountain rolled. Clarin. Let us approach more near. For long enough we've looked at it from here. Then better we shall see. If those who dwell therein will generously a welcome give us. Rosara. See an open door. Funereal mouth pour best the name it bore. From which as from a womb the night is born, engendered in its gloom. The sound of chains is heard within. Clarin. Heavens! What is this I hear? Rosara. Half ice, half fire, I stand transfixed with fear. Clarin. A sound of chains, is it not? Some galley slave his sentence here hath got. My fear may well suggest it so may be. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene 2. Sigismund, in the tower. Rosara, Clarin. Sigismund, within. Alas! Ah, wretched me! Ah, wretched me! Rosara. Oh, what a mournful wail! Again my pains, again my fears prevail. Clarin. Again with fear I die. Rosara. Clarin. Clarin. My lady. Rosara. Let us turn and fly. The risks of this enchanted tower. Clarin. 4-1. I scarce have strength to stand, much less to run. Rosara. Is not that glimmer there afar? That dying exhalation, that pale star? A tiny taper, which, with trembling blaze, flickering twixt struggling flames and dying rays, with ineffectual spark, makes the dark dwelling place appear more dark? Yes, for its distant light, reflected dimly, brings before my sight a dungeon's awful gloom. Say rather of a living corse, a living tomb. And to increase my terror and surprise, dressed in the skins of beasts a man there lies. A piteous sight. Chained, and his sole companion this poor light. Since then we cannot fly. Let us attentive to his words draw nigh, whatever they may be. The doors of the tower open wide, and Sigismund is discovered in chains and clad in the skins of beasts. The light in the tower increases. Sigismund. Alas! Ah, wretched me! Ah, wretched me! Heaven, here lying all forlorn? I desire from thee to know. Since thou thus dost treat me so, why have I provoked thy scorn? By the crime of being born? Though for being born I feel, heaven with me must harshly deal. Since man's greatest crime on earth is the fatal fact of birth, sin supreme without appeal, this alone I ponder o'er, my strange mystery to pierce through, leaving wholly out of view germs my hapless birthday bore. How have I offended more, that the more you punish me? Must not other creatures be born? If born, what privilege can they over me allege, of which I should not be free? Birds are born, the bird that sings, richly robed by nature's dower, scarcely floats a feathered flower, or a bunch of blooms with wings, when to heaven's high halls it springs, cuts the blue air fast and free, and no longer bound will be by the nest's secure control. And with so much more of soul, must I have less liberty? Beasts are born, the beast whose skin, dappled o'er with beauteous spots, as when the great pencil dots heaven with stars, doth scarce begin, from its impulses within, nature's stern necessity to be schooled in cruelty, monster, waging ruthless war, and with instincts better far. Must I have less liberty? Fish are born, the spawn that breeds, where the oozy seaweeds float, scarce perceives itself a boat, scaled and plated for its needs, when from wave to wave it speeds, measuring all the mighty sea, testing its profundity to its depths so dark and chill, and with so much freer will. Must I have less liberty? Streams are born, a coiled-up snake, when its path the streamlet finds, scarce a silver serpent wins, 'mong the flowers it must forsake, but a song of praise doth wake, mournful though its music be, to the plain that courteously opes a path through which it flies, and with life that never dies. Must I have less liberty? When I think of this I start, Etna-like in wild unrest. I would pluck from out my breast, bit by bit, my burning heart. For what law can so depart from all right, as to deny one lone man that liberty, that sweet gift which God bestows on the crystal stream that flows, birds and fish that float or fly? Rosara, fear and deepest sympathy. Do I feel at every word? Sigismund. Who my sad lament has heard? What? Clotaldo. Clarin, aside to his mistress. Say 'tis he. Rosara. No, 'tis but a wretch, ah, me. Who in these dark caves and cold? Here's the tale your lips unfold. Sigismund. Then you'll die for listening so. That you may not know I know. That you know the tale I told. Seizes her. Yes, you'll die for loitering near. In these strong arms gaunt and grim. I will tear you limb from limb. Clarin. I am deaf and couldn't hear. No. Rosara. If human heart you bear, 'tis enough that I prostrate me at thy feet to liberate me. Sigismund. Strange thy voice can so unbend me. Strange thy sight can so suspend me. And respect so penetrate me. Who art thou? For though I see little from this lonely room, this, my cradle and my tomb, being all the world to me, and if birthday it could be, since my birthday I have known, but this desert wild and lone, where throughout my life's sad course I have lived, a breathing corse. I have moved, a skeleton. And though I address or see, never but one man alone, who my sorrows all hath known, and through whom have come to me notions of earth, sky, and sea. And though harrowing me again, since thou LT call me in this den, monster fit for bestial feasts, I'm a man among wild beasts, and a wild beast amongst men. But though round me has been wrought all this woe, from beasts I've learned polity, the same discerned, heeding what the birds had taught, and have measured in my thought the fair orbits of the spheres. You alone, midst doubts and fears, wake my wonder and surprise. Give amazement to my eyes, admiration to my ears. Every time your face I see, you produce a new amaze. After the most steadfast gaze, I again would gazer be. I believe some hydropsy must affect my sight, I think. Death must hover on the brink of those wells of light, your eyes. For I look with fresh surprise, and though death result, I drink. Let me see and die, forgive me. For I do not know, in faith, if to see you gives me death, what to see you not would give me. Something worse than death would grieve me. Anger, rage, corroding care. Death, but double death it were. Death with tenfold terrors rife. Since what gives the wretched life gives the happy death, despair. Rosara. Thee to see wakes such dismay. Thee to hear I so admire, that I'm powerless to inquire, that I know not what to say. Only this, that I today, guided by a wiser will, have here come to cure my ill, here consoled my grief to see, if a wretch consoled can be, seeing one more wretched still, of a sage, who roamed dejected, poor and wretched, it is said, that one day, his wants being fed by the herbs which he collected, is there one, he thus reflected, poorer than I am today? Turning round him to survey, he his answer got, detecting a still poorer sage collecting even the leaves he threw away, thus complaining to excess. Mourning fate, my life I led, and when thoughtlessly I said to myself, does earth possess one more steeped in wretchedness? I in thee the answer find, since revolving in my mind, I perceive that all my pains to become thy joyful gains thou hast gathered and entwined, and if haply some slight solace by these pains may be imparted, asterisk. Hear attentively the story of my life's supreme disasters. I am. Footnote, asterisk. The meter changes here to the vocal assonante in a E, and continues to the end of the fourth scene. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene 3. Clotaldo, soldiers, Sigismund, Rosara, Clarin. Clotaldo, within. Warders of this tower, who, or sleeping or faint-hearted, given entrance to two persons, who herein have burst a passage. Rosara. New confusion now I suffer. Sigismund. 'Tis Clotaldo, who here guards me. Are not yet my miseries ended? Clotaldo, within. Hasten hither, quick. Be active. And before they can defend them, kill them on the spot, or capture. Voices within. Treason. Clarin. Watch guards of this tower, who politely let us pass here. Since you have the choice of killing or of capturing, choose the latter. Enter Clotaldo and soldiers, he with a pistol, and all with their faces covered. Clotaldo, aside to the soldiers. Keep your faces all well covered, for it is a vital matter that we should be known by no one, while I question these two stragglers. Clarin. Are there masqueraders here? Clotaldo. Ye who in your ignorant rashness have passed through the bounds and limits of this interdicted valley, gainst the edict of the king, who has publicly commanded none should dare descry the wonder that among these rocks is guarded. Yield at once your arms and lives, or this pistol, this cold aspic, formed of steel, the penetrating poison of 2 balls will scatter, the report and fire of which will the air astound and startle. Sigismund, ere you wound them, ere you hurt them, will my life, O tyrant master, be the miserable victim of these wretched chains that clasp me, since in them I vow to God I will tear myself to fragments with my hands and with my teeth. In these rocks here, in these caverns, ere I yield to their misfortunes, or lament their sad disaster. Clotaldo, if you know that your misfortunes, Sigismund, are unexampled, since before being born you died, by heaven's mystical enactment. If you know these fetters are of your furies oft so rampant, but the bridle that detains them, but the circle that contracts them. Why these idle boasts? The door to the soldiers of this narrow prison fasten. Leave him there secured. Sigismund. Ah, heavens! It is wise of you to snatch me thus from freedom, since my rage gainst you had become titanic, since to break the glass and crystal gold gates of the sun, my anger on the firm fixed rock's foundations would have mountains piled of marble. Clotaldo, 'tis that you should not so pile them, that perhaps these ills have happened. Some of the soldiers lead Sigismund into his prison, the doors of which are closed upon him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene 4. Rosara, Clotaldo, Clarin, soldiers. Rosara. Since I now have seen how pride can offend thee, I were hardened. Sure in folly not here humbly at thy feet for life to ask thee. Then to me extend thy pity, since it were a special harshness. If humility and pride both alike were disregarded. Clarin. If humility and pride, those two figures who have acted many and many a thousand times in the autos sacramentals, do not move you, I, who am neither proud nor humble, but a sandwich, partly mixed of both, entreat you to extend to us your pardon. Clotaldo. Ho! Soldiers. My lord? Clotaldo. Disarm the two, and their eyes securely bandage, so that they may not be able to see whither they are carried. Rosara. This is, sir, my sword, to thee. Only would I wish to hand it, since in fine of all the others, thou art chief, and I could hardly yield it unto one less noble. Clarin. Mine I'll give the greatest rascal of your troop, to a soldier, so take it, you. Rosara. And if I must die, to thank thee. For thy pity, I would leave thee. This is pledge, which has its value, from the owner who once wore it. That thou guard it well, I charge thee. For although I do not know what strange secret it may carry, this I know, that some great mystery lies within this golden scabbard. Since relying but on it, I to Poland here have travelled, to revenge a wrong. Clotaldo, aside. Just heavens! What is this? Still graver, darker grow my doubts and my confusion, my anxieties and my anguish. Speak, who gave you this? Rosara. A woman. Clotaldo. And her name? Rosara. To that my answer must be silence. Clotaldo. But from what? Do you now infer, or fancy, that this sword involves a secret? Rosara. She who gave it said, depart hence into Poland, and by study, stratagem, and skill so manage that this sword may be inspected by the nobles and the magnates of that land, for you, I know, will by one of them be guarded. But his name, lest he was dead, was not then to me imparted. Clotaldo, aside. Bless me, heaven! What's this I hear? For so strangely has this happened, that I cannot yet determine if 'tis real or imagined. This is the same sword that I left with beauteous Violante as a pledge unto its wearer, who might seek me out thereafter, as a son that I would love him, and protect him as a father. What is to be done, ah, me? In confusion so entangled, if he who for safety bore it dares it now but to dispatch him, since condemned to death he cometh to my feet? How strange a marvel! What a lamentable fortune! How unstable! How unhappy! This must be my son, the tokens all declare it, superadded to the flutter of the heart, that to see him loudly repeth at the breast, and not being able with its throbs to burst its chamber, does as one in prison, who, hearing tumult in the alley, strives to look from out the window, thus, not knowing what here passes, save the noise, the heart uprusheth, to the eyes the cause to examine. They the windows of the heart, out through which in tears it glances. What is to be done? O heavens! What is to be done? To drag him now before the king were death, but to hide him from my master, that I cannot do, according to my duty as a vassal. Thus my loyalty and self-love upon either side attack me. Each would win, but wherefore doubt? Is not loyalty a grander, nobler thing than life, than honor? Then let loyalty live, no matter that he die. Besides, he told me, if I well recall his language, that he came to revenge a wrong. But a wronged man is a lazar. No, he cannot be my son. Not the son of noble fathers. But if some great chance, which no one can be free from, should have happened, since the delicate sense of honor is a thing so fine, so fragile, that the slightest touch may break it, or the faintest breath may tarnish. What could he do more, he whose cheek the blue blood mantles, but at many risks to have come here, it again to re-establish? Yes, he is my son, my blood. Since he shows himself so manly. And thus then betwixt two doubts, a mid-course alone is granted. 'Tis to seek the king, and tell him who he is, let what will happen. A desire to save my honor may appease my royal master. Should he spare his life, I then will assist him in demanding his revenge. But if the king should, persisting in his anger, give him death, then he will die, without knowing I'm his father. To Rosara and Clarin. Come then with me, strangers. Do not fear in your disasters that you will not have companions in misfortune, for so balanced are the gains of life or death, that I know not which are larger. Exeunt. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene V. A hall in the royal palace. Enter at one side Astolfo and soldiers, and at the other the Infanta Estrella and her ladies. Military music and salutes within. Astolfo, struck at once with admiration, at thy starry eyes outshining, mingle many a salutation. Drums and trumpet notes combining. Founts and birds in alternation. Wondering here to see thee pass. Music in grand chorus gathers. All her notes from grove and grass. Here are trumpets formed of feathers. There are birds that breathe in brass. All salute thee, fair Sonora. Ordnance as their queen proclaim thee. Beauteous birds as their aurora. As their palace trumpets name thee. And the sweet flowers as their flora. For Aurora sure thou art, bright as day that conquers night. Thine is Flora's peaceful part. Thou art Pallas in thy might, and as queen thou are you else my heart. Estrella, if the human voice obeying should with human action pair, then you have said ill in saying all these flattering words and fair, since in truth they are gainsaying this parade of victory, gainst which I my standard rear. Since they say, it seems to me, not the flatteries that I hear, but the rigors that I see. Think, too, what a base invention, from a wild beast's treachery sprung, fraudful mother of dissension, is to flatter with the tongue, and to kill with the intention. Astolfo, ill-informed you must have been, fair Estrella, thus to throw doubt on my respectful mien. Let your ear attentive lean, while the cause I strive show. King Eustorgius the Fair, third so called, died leaving two daughters, and Basilius heir of his sisters. I and you are the children I forbear to recall a single scene, save what's needful. Cloraline, your good mother and my aunt, who is now a habitant of a sphere of sunnier sheen, was the elder of whom you are the daughter, Resisunda, whom God guard 1,000 years. Her fair sister, Rosamunda, were she called if names were true, wed in Muscovy, of whom I was born. 'Tis needful now the commencement to resume. King Basilius, who doth bow 'neath the weight of years, the doom age imposes, more inclined to the studies of the mind than to women, wifeless, lone, without sons to fill his throne. I and you our way would find. You, the elder's child, averred that the crown you stood more nigh. I, maintaining that you erred, held, though born of the younger, I, being a man, should be preferred. Thus our mutual pretension. To our uncle we related who replied that he would mention. Here, and on this day he stated. What might settle the dissension? With this end, from Muscovy, I set out, and with that view, I today fair Poland see, and not making war on you, wait till war you make on me. Would to love that God so wise, that the crowd may be as sure, astrolabe to read the skies, and this festive truce secure, both to you and me the prize, making you a queen, but queen, by my will, our uncle leaving, you the throne we'll share between, and my love a realm receiving, dearer than a king's demesne. Estrella. Well, I must be generous too, for a gallantry so fine. This imperial realm you view, if I wish it to be mine, 'tis to give it unto you. Though if I the truth confessed, I must fear your love may fail. Flattering words are words at best, for perhaps a truer tale tells that portrait on your breast. Astolfo. On that point complete content. Will I give your mind, not here? For each sounding instrument, drums are heard, tells us that the king is near, with his court and parliament. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene 6. The King Basilius, with his retinue. Astolfo, Estrella, ladies, soldiers. Estrella. Learned Euclid. Astolfo. Fails wise. Estrella. The vast zodiac. Astolfo. The star spaces. Estrella. Who dost soar to? Astolfo. Who dost rise? Estrella. The sun's orbit. Astolfo. The stars' places. Estrella. To describe. Astolfo. To map the skies. Estrella. Let me humbly interlacing. Astolfo. Let me lovingly embracing. Estrella. Be the tendril of thy tree. Astolfo. Bend respectfully my knee. Basilius. Children, that dear word displacing. Colder names, my arms here bless. And be sure, since you assented to my plan, my love's excess will leave neither discontented, or give either more or less. And though I from being old, slowly may the facts unfold. Hear in silence my narration. Keep reserved your admiration, till the wondrous tale is told. You already know, I pray you. Be attentive, dearest children, asterisk. Great, illustrious court of Poland. Faithful vassals, friends, and kinsmen. You already know my studies have throughout the whole world given me the high title of the learned, since gainst time and time's oblivion. The rich pencils of Timanthes, the bright marbles of Lysippus, universally proclaim me. Through earth's bounds the great Basilius. You already know the sciences that I feel my mind most given to are the subtle mathematics, by whose means my clear prevision takes from rumor its slow office, takes from time its jurisdiction, of, each day, new facts disclosing, since in algebraic symbols, when the fate of future ages on my tablets I see written, I anticipate time in telling what my science hath predicted. All those circles of pure snow, all those canopies of crystal, which the sun with rays illumines, which the moon cuts in its circles, all those orbs of twinkling diamond, all those crystal globes that glisten, all that azure field of stars, where the zodiac signs are pictured, are the study of my life? Are the books where heaven has written upon diamond-dotted paper, upon leaves by sapphires tinted, with light luminous lines of gold, in clear characters distinctly, all the events of human life, whether adverse or benignant. These so rapidly I read, that I follow with the quickness of my thoughts the swiftest movements of their orbits and their circles. Would to heaven that ere my mind to those mystic books addicted was the comment of their margins, and of all their leaves the index. Would to heaven, I say, my life had been offered the first victim of its anger, that my death stroke had in this way have been given me, since the unhappy find even merit is the fatal knife that kills them, and his own self-murderer is the man whom knowledge injures. I may say so, but my story so will say with more distinctness, and to win your admiration. Once again I pray you listen. Cloraline, my wife, a son, bore me, so by fate afflicted, that on his unhappy birthday all heaven's prodigies assisted. Nay, ere yet to life's sweet life gave him forth her womb, that living sepulchre, for death and life have like ending and beginning. Many a time his mother saw in her dreams delirious dimness from her side a monster break, fashioned like a man, but sprinkled With her blood, who gave her death? By that human viper bitten. Round his birthday came at last, all its auguries fulfilling. For the presages of evil seldom fail or even linger, came with such a horoscope that the sun rushed blood-red tinted into a terrific combat with the dark moon that resisted. Earth its mighty lists outspread, as with lessening lights diminished, strove the twin lamps of the sky. 'Twas of all the sun's eclipses the most dreadful that it suffered, since the hour its bloody visage wept the awful death of Christ. For o'erwhelmed in glowing cinders, the great orb appeared to suffer nature's final paroxysm. Gloom the glowing noontide darkened. Earthquake shook the mightiest buildings. Stones the angry clouds rained down, and with blood ran red the rivers. In this frenzy of the sun, in its madness and delirium, Sigismund was born, thus early, giving proofs of his condition. Since his birth his mother slew, just as if these words had killed her. I am a man, since good with evil I repay here from the beginning. I, applying to my studies, saw in them as 'twere forewritten, this, that Sigismund would be the most cruel of all princes, of all men the most audacious, of all monarchs the most wicked, that his kingdom through his means would be broken and partitioned, the academy of the vices, and the high school of sedition, and that he himself, borne onward by his crime's wild course resistless, would even place his feet on me? For I saw myself down-stricken, lying on the ground before him. To say this what shame it gives me, while his feet on my white hairs, as a carpet were imprinted. Who discredits threatened ill, specially and ill-previsioned, by one study, when self-love makes it his peculiar business? Thus then crediting the fates, which far off my science witnessed, all these fatal auguries, seen though dimly in the distance, I resolved to chain the monster that unhappily life was given to find out if yet the stars owned the wise man's weird dominion. It was publicly proclaimed that the sad ill-omened infant was stillborn, I then a tower, caused by forethought to be builded, mid the rocks of these wild mountains, where the sunlight scarce can gild it, its glad entrance being barred by these rude shafts obeliskal. all the laws of which you know, all the edicts that prohibit anyone on pain of death that secluded part to visit of the mountain were occasioned by this cause, so long well hidden. There still lives Prince Sigismund, miserable, poor, in prison. Him alone Clotaldo sees, only tends to and speaks with him. He the sciences has taught him, he the Catholic religion has imparted to him, being of his miseries the sole witness. Here there are three things. The first I rate highest, since my wishes are, O Poland, thee to save from the oppression, the affliction of a tyrant king, because of his country and his kingdom he were no benignant father, who to such a risk could give it. Secondly, the thought occurs that to take from mine own issue the plain right that every law, human and divine, hath given him, is not Christian charity. For by no law am I bidden to prevent another proving, say, a tyrant or a villain, to be one myself, supposing even my son should be so guilty that he should not crimes commit, I myself should first commit them. Then the third and last point is that perhaps I erred in giving too implicit a belief to the facts foreseen so dimly. For although his inclination well might find its precipices, he might possibly escape them. For the fate the most fastidious, for the impulse the most powerful, even the planets most malicious, only make free will incline, but can force not human wishes, and thus twist these different causes, vacillating and unfixed. I a remedy have thought of, which will with new wonder fill you. I tomorrow morning purpose, without letting it be hinted, that he is my son, and therefore your true king, at once to fix him as King Sigismund, for the name still he bears that first was given him, neath my canopy, on my throne, and in fine in my position, there to govern and command you, where in dutiful submission you will swear to him allegiance. My resources thus are triple, as the causes of disquiet were which I revealed this instant. The first is, that he being prudent, careful, cautious, and benignant, falsifying the wild actions that of him had been predicted. You'll enjoy your natural prince, he who has so long been living, holding court amid these mountains, with the wild beasts for his circle. Then my next resource is this. If he, daring, wild, and wicked, proudly runs with loosened rein o'er the broad plain of the vicious, I will have fulfilled the duty of my natural love and pity. Then his righteous deposition will but prove my royal firmness, chastisement and not revenge, leading him once more to the prison. My third course is this: the prince, being what my words have pictured, from the love I owe you, vassals, I will give you other princes, worthier of the crown and scepter, namely, my two sisters' children, who their separate pretensions, having happily commingled by the holy bonds of marriage, will then fill their fit position. This is what a king commands you. This is what a father bids you. This is what a sage entreats you. This is what an old man wishes. And as Seneca, the Spaniard, says, a king for all his riches is but slave of his republic. This is what a slave petitions. Footnote, asterisk. The meter changes here to the assonanti in ie, or their vocal equivalents, and is kept up for the remainder of the act. Astolfo. If on me devolves the answer, as being in this weighty business the most interested party, I, of all, express the opinion. Let Prince Sigismund appear. He's thy son, that's all sufficient. All. Give to us our natural prince. We proclaim him king this instant. Basilius. Vassals, from my heart I thank you for this deference to my wishes. Go, conduct to their apartments these two columns of my kingdom. On tomorrow you shall see him. All. Live, long live great King Basilius. Exeunt all, accompanying Estrella and Astolfo. The king remains. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene 7. Clotaldo, Rosara, Clarin, and Basilius. Clotaldo. May I speak to you, sire? Basilius. Clotaldo. You are always welcome with me. Clotaldo. Although coming to your feet shows how freely I'm admitted. Still, your majesty, this once. Fate is mournful as malicious. Takes from privilege its due right, and from custom its permission. Basilius. What has happened? Clotaldo. A misfortune, sire, which has my heart afflicted. At the moment when all joy should have overflown and filled it. Basilius. Pray proceed. Clotaldo. This handsome youth here inadvertently, or driven by his daring, pierced the tower. And the prince discovered in it. Nay, Basilius, Clotaldo, be not troubled at this act, which if committed at another time had grieved me. But the secret so long hidden, having myself told, his knowledge of the fact but matters little. See me presently, for I much must speak upon this business, and for me you much must do. For a part will be committed to you in the strangest drama that perhaps the world e'er witnessed. As for these, that you may know that I mean not your remissness to chastise, I grant their pardon. Exit. Clotaldo. Myriad years to my lord be given. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene 8. Clotaldo, Rosara, and Clarin. Clotaldo, aside. Heaven has sent a happier fate. Since I need not now admit it, I'll not say he is my son. Strangers who have wandered hither, you are free. Rosara, I give your feet 1,000 kisses. Clarin, I say misses, for a letter more or less. Twixt two friends is not considered. Rosara, you have given me life, my lord, and since by your act I'm living, I eternally will own me as your slave. Clotaldo, the life I've given is not really your true life. For a man by birth uplifted, if he suffers an affront, actually no longer liveth. And supposing you have come here for revenge as you have hinted, I have not then given you life, since you have not brought it with you. For no life disgraced is life. Aside. This I say to arouse his spirit. Rosara, I confess I have it not, though by you it has been given me. But revenge being wreaked, my honor I will leave so pure and limpid, all its perils overcome, that my life may then with fitness seem to be a gift of yours. Clotaldo, take this burnished sword which hither you brought with you, for I know to revenge you, 'tis sufficient. In your enemy's blood bathed red, for a sword that once was girded round me, I say this the while that to me it was committed, will know how to right you. Rosara, thus, in your name once more I gird it, and on it my vengeance swear, though the enemy who afflicts me or more powerful. Clotaldo. Is he so? Rosara. Yes, so powerful, I am hindered. Saying who he is, not doubting. Even for greater things your wisdom and calm prudence, but through fear, lest against me your prized pity might be turned. Clotaldo. 'Twill rather be by declaring it, more kindled. Otherwise you bar the passage. Gainst your foe of my assistance dot. Aside. Would that I but knew his name. Rosara. Not to think I set so little value on such confidence. Know my enemy and my victim is no less than Prince Astolfo, Duke of Muscovy. Clotaldo, aside. Resistance. Badly can my grief supply, since 'tis heavier than I figured. Let us sift the matter deeper. If a Muscovite by birth, then he who is your natural lord could not gainst you have committed any wrong, reseek your country, and abandon the wild impulse that has driven you here. Rosara. I know. Though a prince, he has committed gainst me a great wrong. Clotaldo. He could not, even although your face was stricken by his angry hand. Aside. Oh, heavens! Rosara. Mine's a wrong more deep and bitter. Clotaldo. Tell it, then, it cannot be worse than what my fancy pictures. Rosara. I will tell it, though I know not. With the respect your presence gives me, with the affection you awaken, with the esteem your worth elicits, how with bold face here to tell you that this outer dress is simply an enigma, since it is not what it seems. And from this hint, then, if I'm not what I appear, and Astolfo with this princess comes to wed, judge how by him. I was wronged, I've said sufficient. Exeunt Rosara and Clarin. Clotaldo. Listen. Hear me. Wait. Oh, stay. What a labyrinthine thicket is all this, where reason gives not a thread whereby to issue? My own honor here is wronged. Powerful is my foe's position. I a vassal, she a woman. Heaven reveals some way in pity, though I doubt it has the power. When in such confused abysses, heaven is all one fearful presage, and the world itself a riddle. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Act the Second. A hall in the royal palace. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene I. Basilius and Clotaldo. Clotaldo. Everything has been effected as you ordered. Basilius. How all happened asterisk. Let me know, my good Clotaldo. Footnote, asterisk. The meter of this and the following scene is the assonante in a E. Clotaldo. It was done, sire, in this manner. With the tranquilizing draught, which was made, as you commanded, of confections duly mixed, with some herbs, whose juice extracted has a strange tyrannic power, has some secret force imparted, which all human sense and speech robs, deprives, and counteracteth, and as 'twere a living corpse, leaves the man whose lips have quaffed it, so asleep that all his senses, all his powers are overmastered. No need have we to discuss that this fact can really happen, since, my lord, experience gives us many a clear and proved example. Certain 'tis that nature's secrets may by medicine be extracted, and that not an animal, not a stone, or herb that's planted, but some special quality doth possess, for if the malice of man's heart, 1,000 poisons that give death, hath power to examine, is it then so great a wonder that, their venom being abstracted, if, as death by some is given, sleep by others is imparted? Putting, then, aside the doubt that 'tis possible this should happen, a thing proved beyond all question, both by reason and example, with the sleeping draught, in fine, made of opium superadded to the poppy and the henbane. I to Sigismund's apartment cell, in fact, went down, and with him spoke a while upon the grammar of the sciences, those first studies which mute nature's gentle masters, silent skies and hills, had taught him, in which school divine and ample the bird's song, the wild beast's roar, were a lesson and a language, then to raise his spirit more to the high design you planned here, I discoursed on, as my theme, the swift flight, the stare undazzled, of a pride-plumed eagle bold, which with back averted talons, scorning the tame fields of air, seeks the sphere of fire, and passes through its flame a flash of feathers, or a comet's hair untangled. I extolled its soaring flight, saying, Thou at last art master of thy house, thou art king of birds. It is right thou shouldst surpass them. he who needed nothing more than to touch upon the matter of high royalty, with a bearing, as became him, boldly answered. For in truth his princely blood moves, excites, inflames his ardor to attempt great things, he said, in the restless realm of atoms, given to birds, that even one should swear fealty as a vassal. I, reflecting upon this, am consoled by my disasters. For, at least, if I obey through force, untrammeled. Free to act, I ne'er will own any man on earth my master. This, his usual theme of grief, having roused him nigh to madness, I occasion took to proffer the drugged draught. He drank, but hardly had the liquor from the vessel passed into his breast, when fastest sleep his senses seized, a sweat cold as ice, the life-blood hardened in his veins, his limbs grew stiff, so that, knew I not 'twas acted. Death was there, feigned death, his life, I could doubt not had departed. Then those, to whose care you trust, this experiment, in a carriage, brought him here, where all things fitting, the high majesty and the grandeur of his person are provided. In the bed of your state chamber, they have placed him, where the stupor, having spent its force and vanished, they, as 'twere yourself, my lord, him will serve as you commanded. And if my obedient service seems to merit some slight largesse, I would ask but this alone: my presumption you will pardon, that you tell me, with what object have you, in this secret manner, to your palace brought him here? Basilius. Good Clotaldo, what you ask me is so just, to you alone. I would give full satisfaction. Sigismund, my son, the hard influence of his hostile planet, as you know, doth threat 1,000 dreadful tragedies and disasters. I desire to test if heaven, an impossible thing to happen, could have lied if, having given us proofs unnumbered, countless samples of his evil disposition, he might prove more mild, more guarded, at the lest, and self-subdued by his prudence and true valor. Change his character, for 'tis man that alone controls the planets. This it is I wish to test. Having brought him to this palace, where he'll learn he is my son, and display his natural talents. If he nobly hath subdued him, he will reign, but if his manners show him tyrannous and cruel, Then his chains once more shall clasp him. But for this experiment. Now you probably will ask me, of what moment was to bring him thus asleep and in this manner? And I wish to satisfy you, giving all your doubts an answer. If today he learns that he is my son, and some hours after finds himself once more restored to his misery and his shackles, certain 'tis that from his temper blank despair may end in madness. But once knowing who he is, can he be consoled thereafter? Yes, and thus I wish to leave one door open, one free passage, by declaring all he saw was a dream. With this advantage, we attain two ends. The first is to put beyond all cavil his condition, for on waking, he will show his thoughts, his fancies. To console him is the second. Since, although obeyed and flattered, he beholds himself a while, and then back in prison shackled, finds him, he will think he dreamed. And he rightly so may fancy. For, Clotaldo, in this world, all who live but dream they act here. Clotaldo, reasons fail me not to show that the experiment may not answer. But there is no remedy now. For a sign from the apartment tells me that he hath awoken, and even hitherward advances. Basilius, it is best that I retire. But do you, so long his master, near him stand, the wild confusion that his waking sense may darken, dissipate by simple truth. Clotaldo, then your license you have granted, that I may declare it? Basilius, yes. For it possibly may happen that, admonished of his danger, he may conquer his worst passions. Exit. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Scene 2. Clarin and Clotaldo. Clarin, aside. For good blows are all it cost me to come here, inflicted smartly by a red-robed halberdier, with a beard to match his jacket. At that price I see the show, for no window's half so handy as that which, without entreating tickets of the ticket master, a man carried with himself. Since for all the feasts and galas, cool effrontery is the window whence at ease he gazes at them. Clotaldo, aside. This is Clarin, heavens! Of her. Yes, I say, of her the valet. She, who dealing in misfortunes, has my pain to Poland carried. Any news, friend Clarin? Clarin. News? Yes, sir, since your great compassion is disposed Rosara's outrage. To revenge, she has changed her habit and resumed her proper dress. Clotaldo. 'Tis quite right, lest possible scandal might arise.